I didn't really have any plans today on making a big video or anything, but I still wanted to get something out for you guys, so I thought I would sit down and quickly give you guys my thoughts on the recent rumors regarding Patrick Kane and him potentially signing with the Red Wings. First things first, if this is your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year round, hit that subscribe button. We're getting super close to 75,000. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I do want to make myself clear, these are just rumors, and more often than not, rumors do not come true. But sometimes they do, and I thought this would be a fun conversation to have with you guys since I am a Red Wings fan, but definitely take all of this with a grain of salt. This all started the other day when John Dietz, hopefully I'm saying that name properly, but it is a Twitter user that I've never heard of. It's not one of the big insiders like a Frank Seravalli, an Elliot Friedman, or a David Pagnotta, but in John's bio it says he's in his 25th year at the Daily Herald and he covers the Blackhawks. John quote tweeted a tweet from Bleacher Report Open Ice that said Kane's recovery appears to be going faster than expected, and in this image of Patrick Kane, it says, "Could I come back early? Yeah, probably. It's a lot better than last year," which was a quote from Patrick Kane. And John's quote tweet said, "Watch for Patrick Kane to sign with the Detroit Red Wings. Someone who knows Kane very well said Kane told him he wanted to follow Alex DeBrincat if/when he was able. Of course, there has to be mutual interest, so we'll see if Detroit extends an olive branch." So that is definitely very interesting. Obviously, Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat were a dynamic duo on the Chicago Blackhawks for many years. An elite playmaker in Patrick Kane playing with an elite sniper in Alex DeBrincat. Their playstyles fit beautifully together. The chemistry was unmatched. I definitely think it makes sense to believe that Patrick Kane might want to go and reunite with somebody like Alex DeBrincat, who he had so many fantastic years playing with in the past. Now, like John said in his quote tweet, there would have to be mutual interest, so do I think this makes any sense for the Red Wings? Now, before we even get into what type of contract Patrick Kane might be looking for, the Red Wings cap situation, and how Patrick Kane would actually fit on the roster, let's talk about this from a business perspective, because you always have to remember these owners of these NHL teams are running businesses, and although Patrick Kane is not anywhere close to the player that he once was, he is still one of the biggest names in the NHL. This is a guy that's going to sell jerseys. This is a guy that's going to put people in seats. From a business standpoint, it would make sense for almost every team in the NHL to add a name like Patrick Kane, even if it was just for a season or two. Now let's talk about what type of contract Patrick Kane might be looking for, and of course the Red Wings cap situation. Kane and his agent have already came out and said that they're going to be in the market for a short-term deal, which makes sense because there probably wouldn't be a team out there willing to offer Patrick Kane a deal longer than 2 years, given the fact that he's coming off hip surgery and probably isn't even going to be ready for the start of the season. What I'm expecting is we see Patrick Kane sign a deal with whoever team it ends up being in the range of 1 year, $3 million, maybe $4 million, something similar to what Matt Duchene signed in Dallas. Max I could see Kane getting in terms of term is 2 years, and I'd honestly be kind of surprised to see a team give him that. With that in mind, if that does end up being the kind of contract Patrick Kane signs, 1 year in the range of 3 or 4 million, there is only 8 teams in the league right now with 3 million or more in projected cap space. Those teams are the Arizona Coyotes, the San Jose Sharks, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings, the Nashville Predators, the Buffalo Sabres, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Anaheim Ducks. Now, obviously, none of the teams I just mentioned are expected to be Stanley Cup contenders, and at 34 years old, you'd have to think Patrick Kane is only going to sign with a team that is at the very least expected to be in contention for a playoff spot. I feel like of the teams I just mentioned, Buffalo and Detroit would probably be the most appealing to Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane grew up in Buffalo. That was his childhood favorite team. And of all those teams I just mentioned, Buffalo is definitely the closest to contention. Now, with that being said, Patrick Kane is somebody who's likely not short on money. This is a guy who's made well over $100 million throughout his NHL career. I don't think it would be that surprising to see him sign, a 1 year league minimum deal similar to what Blake Wheeler signed with the Rangers, maybe to get himself on a legit Stanley Cup contender. So that's the contract and cap space situation. Let's now, get back to what this video is about and the potential of Kane signing with the Red Wings. So as a Red Wings fan, do I think it would make sense for Detroit to bring in somebody like Patrick Kane? If it's on a cheap 1 year deal, yes, 1000% it's something that I would get behind, like I mentioned earlier in the video, and as everybody knows, Patrick Kane is not anything close to the player that he once was. He's coming off of probably the worst season of his NHL career, but he still put up 57 points. He brings next to nothing to the table defensively, isn't a very good play driver at 5-on-5, but until the day Patrick Kane retires, he's always going to have that unbelievable vision, he's going to have that elite set of hands, and even though maybe his legs and his feet aren't going to be able to keep up with his mind at this point in his career, in a protected role, middle six, limited minutes at 5-on-5, maybe 12 to 13, but in a power play specialist role, I think this can be a very valuable player. The Red Wings are also a team that severely lacks star power, and I think they still do, even after the addition of somebody like Alex DeBrincat. If you look at the scoring leaders of the Red Wings this past season, like I just mentioned, Patrick Kane is coming off probably the worst season of his career, but he still would have finished second on the Red Wings in scoring this past season, only behind Dylan Larkin. Another reason why I think this move would definitely make sense is this Red Wings team is trying to turn the corner and start coming out of this rebuild, and Patrick Kane, I think, is a guy that can teach that locker room a ton of things. He knows what it takes to win. Patrick Kane is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. In one of those playoff runs, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoffs MVP. He's won an Art Ross. He's won a Hart. Patrick Kane is a winner and somebody that I think can help build a winning culture for a team that desperately needs it. So those are the main reasons as to why I think it would make sense for a team like the Red Wings to bring in Patrick Kane. Really the only reason that I can come up with as to why maybe it doesn't make sense is the Red Wings have a logjam up front. They got a lot of forwards and there's going to be a lot of internal competition for roster spots in training camp and preseason. Would it be a great look for the Red Wings to bring in Patrick Kane and just slot him right into the lineup, a guy who's likely going to miss training camp and preseason, and give him a roster spot over these guys that earned it in camp, potentially, younger players? That's really the only knock I would have on this move if it were to happen. Like I mentioned multiple times, I'm expecting him to sign just a 1-year deal, so if Patrick Kane came to Detroit and, worst case scenario was just awful, it's not really that big of a deal because you didn't lock him up to a bunch of money in term. But that is pretty much everything I have to say on the possibility of Patrick Kane signing with the Red Wings. Again, like I said at the start of the video, take all of this with a grain of salt. These are just rumors. I'm not making this video to push out the idea that this is probably going to happen. I'm only making it to kind of give you guys my thoughts on if it were to happen, and it's all hypothetical. As always, I'm really interested to hear what you guys think, especially if you're a Red Wings fan like me. How would you feel if the team decided to bring in somebody like Patrick Kane for 1 or 2 seasons? Leave all your thoughts, predictions on Patrick Kane down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And again, most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year round, hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all soon.